The I.S.U.P.K. presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. You do not want to miss this one, Israel. Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under commanding General YAHANNA presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under commanding General YAHANNA. See you there, Israel. Shalom. Nobody else there to compare to train for war, men of war, and war like a pair.
The I.S.U.P.K. presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. You do not want to miss this one, Israel. Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under commanding General YAHANNA presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under commanding General YAHANNA. See you there, Israel. Shalom. Nobody else there to compare to train for war, men of war, and war like apparel.
The I.S.U.P.K. presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. You do not want to miss this one, Israel. Shalom.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to isupk.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one west. They're one west. They're one west.
Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakatam to all the brothers, Yahweh Shemar, Lathamba Hashem Yahushai to all the sisters. I'm Priest and Officer 500 Barak Yalla with the I.S.U.P.K., which stands for the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General YAHANNA, you understand? And we're back at it to our Lashawan Qadash classes. Every other Friday, we'll switch between French and English, where we go back to learning our original language before we went on those slave ships. For those who didn't know, our language is not French, English, Spanish, Portuguese, Creole, Dutch, Patois, whatever you want to call it. Our true language is the Hebrew, which you call Lashawan Qadash, right? Lashawan, which is the tongue, Qadash, which is holy, the holy tongue. You understand? Which is what we speak originally. Like all of our names, right, are in Hebrew. Officer Adayar, myself, Barak Ya'ala. All this is Hebrew. This is not no thing that we make up. You understand? Unlike all these new languages that we speak today. And it's funny how oppressor mocks us, saying that we're making up these languages when you look at the root of all these alphabets that are used today, they all come from Hebrew. The Hebrew evolved over time where they basically bastardize all aspects of our culture. You understand? But we're going to go back to the basics again. You know, we're just going to start fresh and go back to the basics. Anyone has any questions or comments, y'all put it in the chat. We're live on I.S.U.P.K. Montreal, Toronto, Haiti, UPK La Pura Neta on YouTube, and I.S.U.P.K. Montreal, I.S.U.P.K. Canada, and UPK La Pura Neta on Facebook. All right. So let's start with the basics again. We're going to write down our alphabet. We're going to see how is our, the basics of our language. Because unlike modern day alphabets, we don't have letters. We have characters and sounds that go with it. You understand? As opposed to individual letters, right? So let's go with the alphabet. We're going to write it in the ancient Hebrew first, which is the original, and then the Assyrian. You may ask, why is there two alphabets? Because at some point, we adopted the Assyrian characters coming out of Assyrian captivity. You understand? Of course, let me know if it's clear on the board. Let me see. Y'all can see clearly on the board. It should be Tuab. So I'm gonna write these in black, and I'm gonna write the phonetic or how they're being pronounced in the blue. So two different colors, you can differentiate a bit. They space this out a bit more. Y'all make sure y'all like and share the class. Our people need to know, need to come back to their culture. And of course, take notes. Okay. Yo, bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna move out the frame. So we have the ah, and I forgot to mention, of course, since we're back to the basics, right? Unlike most modern day languages, Hebrew is not written nor read from left to right. It's written and read from right to left. You understand? So we're gonna go a, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, like kat and kataza, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, taza, kwa, ra, sha, and tha. And these are all the characters we have in the Lashawan Qadash, in the Hebrew, in the ancient Hebrew. You understand? I'm not mistaken, we have 24 characters, right? And each character has their own phonetic, has their own sound. Our language is not, I don't want to say not sophisticated. We're really a, it's a simple language. That's why it's so similar. It's a simple language. It's what some people may call barbaric. You understand? It's a simple language, and it's really a there's a word for it. Every character represents something. It's a pictographic. I think that's the word. Pictographic language, a pictographic alphabet. I mean, that we have, which we'll see on the next class, right? We'll do 2 weeks in English, 2 weeks in French. So this is really a pictographic language where each character represents something. You understand? I'll just give you a quick example and save the rest for next class. For instance, the A really is the head of an ox. You understand? Which is flipped sideways. And every character basically is the first character of a word. So A is the first character of alap, which is the head of a cow, the head of an ox. You understand? Ba is for bayat, so on and so forth. But we'll see that next week, right? So y'all take notes. I'm gonna give y'all a few seconds to write this down. If you're in the class, first of all, if you are so-called Black, Latino, or Native American Indian watching this class, click the sign in and sign out link in the chat. That's number 1. You understand? 2, you can message us directly on ISUPK Montreal at gmail.com, ISUPK Toronto at gmail.com, ISUPK IT at gmail.com if you want the Hebrew learning material. So you could study, you could go back to your language. The same way you had English books in high school, French, Spanish, whatever the case is, and you studied these so you're fluent in French and English, whatever language you speak, it's the same principle. You understand? Don't be lazy, especially when it comes to going back to your culture. Understanding how aggressively our culture was taken away from us, how aggressively we stopped speaking Hebrew because we were whipped, we were branded, we were literally unalived. We went over that in the book of Maccabees in the class yesterday. At some point, we're not even allowed to speak Hebrew. We're not even allowed to profess ourselves as Israelites. If we're as aggressively as it was taken away, it's time to aggressively learn and take your culture back. You understand? Of course, not in a physical way. We do not advocate for any form of violence at all, but intensively work on getting your culture back. That's why you have to be in these classes. You have no excuse to not be in these classes. If you're missing the class, listen, it's 2026. just rewatch it on YouTube, Facebook, whatever the case is. No excuses. You understand? I'll give you a few more seconds, then I'm going to erase it. And I'm going to show you the Assyrian characters. Even though these are the most important because these belong to us, the Assyrian characters are always useful. Why? Because a lot of our modern texts are written with Assyrian characters. Right? Even when you look into the interlinear, like if you use the Blue Letter Bible, which is a good tool to understand the context of what's written, both in Hebrew and in Greek for the New Testament. When you look into the interlinear and look at these words and the root words, it will be written in Assyrian with the Assyrian characters. This is why it's always useful, you know, at least for learning purposes. But this is the most important, the ancient Hebrew, right? That should be Tawab. So let me erase that and let's go with the Assyrian characters. Again, I'm gonna write them in black. Slovakia. Now with the Assyrian characters, you may think we have more characters in a way because there's two of our characters that I mean there's 5 characters that have a slight change when they are placed at the end of a word, right? Which we'll see just now. Bear with me 1 second. Salakia. The board is slightly bent. Let me space it out a bit more. That's wild. Bear with me. All right. So I'm gonna write the characters in blue. It's the same. It's only 5 characters, as you will see. The second character, right? When they're placed at the end of a word. So again, I'm gonna let y'all take notes. Okay. And these characters, matter of fact, let me help y'all, right? There's characters, Slovakia, let me see, that have the changes at the end of a word. I'm gonna put them in red. Right? So it'll be the ka, the ma, the na, the pa, and the taza. You understand? So again, the same, nothing changes besides, no order changes, besides 5 characters that have an extra character, right? For instance, when you would, the word, I'm gonna give you an example in a minute, but the word ama, which is the word for mother, the ma, which is at the end of the word, would be written with the second character in red if you write it in the Assyrian. Right? So these 5 characters would be the ka, the ma, the na, the pa, and the taza, which would change when they're placed at the end of a word when you're writing in the Assyrian Hebrew. Slovakia, with the Assyrian characters. You understand? The Assyrian alphabet. So y'all take a few minutes, write these down. If there's any issues y'all can see properly or whatnot, let me know. Don't just say nothing, then complain that you couldn't see or that you're not sure what to do, that you were confused. Ask questions. Again, if y'all want the Hebrew characters, the Hebrew material, send us an email. ISUPK at isupkmontreal@gmail.com. I'll give you a few more seconds and then we're going to get into some examples. First off, something to remember as well, right? When writing with the ancient Hebrew alphabet, we're going to use connectors, which is how we're going to understand how to pronounce words, right? In our culture, one thing about our culture is that most of the time, the last 2 characters of our words are connected together. You understand? Not the first. That only happened with the bastardization of our language after going, through captivities, having our identity stolen, so on and so forth. Right? And in the Assyrian, as you could see, we would have to write with different characters when it comes to 5 of these when they end at the end of when they are placed, Salakia. at the end of a word. And give it what, 30 more seconds? That should be fine. Y'all could always re-watch the class if y'all missing anything, or just hit us up. You understand? So now I'm going to erase it. All right. So let's see how we write certain words, right? Like I said, the Hebrew is written from right to left, right? But we read, for instance, the word for father is Abba, right? So you're going to read it from left to right. Ain't no wrong with that for learning purposes, to know how to sound the word. But when you're going to write it in Hebrew, Abba. And I was mentioning to you connectors. Let me write that a bit bigger. I was mentioning to you connectors when it comes to writing in the Lashawan Qadash. So these connectors will go under a character, which will say know how we pronounce the word. So Abba, right? Both characters are pronounced individually, so they don't connect. So what you would have is that little sign that looks like a upside down smile, for lack of better words, for lack of better terms, right? So you have Abba, for instance. Now, you have words like lightning, which is Barak, like Barak Ya'ala, the lightning of the Lord. Now the Ba is individual, but the Ra and the Kwa are connected because it's formed out of three characters: a Ba, a Ra, and a Kwa. So how would you write it? Ba, Ra, Kwa. But again, since the Ba and the Ra, let me make it a bit closer. Since the Ba and the Ra are connected, it will be reversed. We'll show they're connected. That's why you have to pronounce words, right? So it'll be Barak, not Barakwa. You understand? And this is how we would write with the Paleo Hebrew. Let me give you two examples so you could have this down, one with and one without. I mean, one connected, one not connected. So you have, what's another example I could give y'all? And you could take notes. Just remember that every notes that you take, you could definitely use it in the next class. You understand? Give me one moment. We give you all these words for vocabulary mother, which is ama. And another word, lakam. You know what? Right here. Lakam, which is bread. We're right here. Bread, lakam. So ama, this is two examples in one, by the way. So you have ama, both individually, and lakam. The ka and the ma would be connected. Now, when I say it's two examples in one, right? Why? Because I was going to show you, like I said earlier, an example of where characters change at the end of a word. For example, the ma in ama and in lakam is not going to be written with, let me read that the Syrian in blue. So ama and lakam is not going to be written with the first, with that Assyrian character. That would be la'a tawab. La'a meaning no or not, tawab meaning good. That would be not good, that would be wrong. Because the ma ends at the end, is at the end of the word. So how would you write it? Write it like this. Ma, la, come. You understand? That's how you would write these. With the second character. You understand? Take notes real quick. I'm gonna do another part of the basics, you know, when it comes to learning our language again. So ama and lakam. Before we go to the next part of the basics, as a matter of fact, I'm going to give you 4 more examples. Because remember, there's 5 characters that change at the end of a word, right? So we got the ma. Should have started with the ka, right? Bear me one moment. At the same time, y'all could take these down. This is vocabulary. You never know when you're going to use these. This is basic word you're going to use every day. Ama, it means mom, bread. Whether it's for the Sabbath service. Or bread could mean food. You understand? Let me see. Have the ka, the na, the pa, and the taza to give y'all, right? Let me look for 2 examples. Let me go these. Next two examples would be word for flag, which is samak, in I, which is ayan. So samak. I must, even though the example is really for you to see how it is in the Assyrian, I must still give you the writing in the Lashawan Qadash, samak, and ayan. Ayan, right? Now, the ka and the na, as you can see, are at the end. Therefore, how would you write it? Sa, ma, ka, and ya, and a na. You understand? So, would you write it like this? Answer is no. La'a. Why? Because the ka and the na with the Assyrian are at the end of the words. You understand? We have to write it with the second character. So sa, ma. Do it right. So ma ka and I. Yan. Would use these characters because the ka and the na are at the end of the word, right? Take a few seconds, write these down. Have the pa and the tza. The pa and the tza, that should be tawab. If not, we go back to it. Every class we're gonna do a brief review of the previous class, so y'all should not worry about anything. But just ask questions. That's it. If you don't ask questions, you can't get answers. I mean, it's a simple concept, right? It's just logic. So the pa and the tza, and then we move on to the next part of the lesson. So the pa, we're gonna go with something that people like. Money. Money, right? Money, which is kasap. And tza, we're gonna go with, if I'm not mistaken, Captain Kataza. Kataza means arrow. Let me just double check. I don't want to give you incorrect information. TITHES is arrow. Captain TITHES. Arrow. So kasap, kaka, asa, and a pa, sa and a pa are connected. Katza, be a ka, and ataza, not connected. They don't have to be connected for the character to change at the end. As long as the character is at the end of the word, at least in Assyrian for these 5 that we mentioned, it will change whether it's connected or not. You understand? So Kataza, like Captain Kataza, meaning arrow. So kasap, how would you write kasap? I'm going to show you how not to write kasap. Then I'm going to show you how to write it afterwards. So this is how you don't write kasap. This is how you don't write kataza. Why? Because that character in the Assyrian is at the end of the word. Therefore, it's not good. You know how you would write it. I'm going to show you all in a second. Is with the alternative character, the other character. So you have the ka, the sa, the pa, just like that. In kataza, the ka, and the taza, just like that. So I'll take these down before we move on. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, pay your tithes. ISUPK.com and your Passover fee. Passover is coming up April 4th, 2026. We will be back in Houston, Texas. You understand? Houston, Texas will be Jerusalem. The Passover, for those who don't know, for anyone making excuses, the Passover is the law. There is not one reason for you to not be at the Passover. It's the law. You understand? Let me give you a few more seconds. As a matter of fact, before we go into the next part of the lesson for the basics, we're going to go into a quick intermission. We're going to play the Passover promo. Make sure y'all pay your Passover fees. All right, so I'm going to take a quick intermission, right? Because when you learn something, if it's too much information at a time, it's not easy to retain. So y'all make sure y'all take notes or whatnot. You'll grab some water, stretch your legs, whatever you do, just make sure you don't sin. That's it. Quick intermission. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All black Hispanics and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General YAHANNA. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and warlike apparel.
He parted the Red Sea, and the entire nation of Israel walked out of the slavery of slavery.
The I.S.U.P.K presents the Lord's 57th annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. You do not want to miss this one, Israel. Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA presents the Lord's 57th annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All black Hispanics and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General YAHANNA. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and warlike apparel. Prefer our leaders, can't get but.
He parted the Red Sea, and the entire nation of Israel walked out of the slavery of slavery.
The I.S.U.P.K presents the Lord's 57th annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. You do not want to miss this one, Israel. Shalom.
Shalom, Israel. It's that time again. The I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA presents the Lord's 57th annual Passover. That's right, the Lord's 57th annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. All black Hispanics and Native Americans are commanded to observe the Lord's Passover. This will be the biggest Passover to date. You do not want to miss this. Fresh lamb, fresh wine, and bitter herbs as commanded by the Most High. Only $200 per person ages 17 and up. The biggest event of the year. There is only one Passover, and it's under Commanding General YAHANNA. See you there, Israel. Shalom.
Nobody else there to compare to. Train for war, men of war, and warlike apparel. Prefer our leaders, can't get between us. Watch where you stepping.
All right, we're back from the intermission. We get into the second part of the class. You understand? So this is more so how we're gonna formulate certain words, right? And we're gonna see that some characters have a specific purpose when it comes to writing words or even saying the word itself, right? So we're gonna go into what we call prepositions. Preposition, you call it, you could preposition are used as a prefix prefixes, and possessives, adjectives, which I'll use as suffixes. Pre comes before. You understand? So we're going to go into these prepositions, which could give us the context of a word, or more so, to show the relationship of a noun in the sentence, right? Right, so we're going to go into that, and then we're going to go into the suffix, which is really the possessive adjectives. So let's go into the first ones. Write the characters first, yeah? And then how we pronounce it. Let's see if I have enough space for all of them. Because I want to write to y'all an example that goes with each one of them, right? One, two, three, four. So you know what? We'll just do 4 at a time because I won't have space to write all of these, right? So the is I or I am. The ba is in. Da is do. And ha is the. And I'm going to give you an example for each one of them, right? Y'all can write these. So when these are in front of a word, right? This is what they mean. I will be I am. Ba, for instance, when we pray, we say Ba Rataza, in earth. Rataza, which is the word for earth, right? Do, and ha, which is the. Let me give you an example for each one of them. Examples would be ra, yum. Aparayum. That's aparium, salakia. Aparium. Right? Which is the name for Ephraim. Ephraim, which is one of the 12 tribes, who today would be our so-called Puerto Rican brothers. Aparium mean what? Means I am fruitful. You understand? The is the I am part in aparium. I am fruitful. Now we don't need to write these in the Assyrian. If you would like, I could, up to y'all. But the point is to show you the role of these characters when placed in front of a word. Like that when you read the Hebrew, you'll be able to recognize that certain words are formed. Like for instance, my name, Barak Yala, Barak and Ya'ala. those are words put together to form Barak Yah. Barak meaning lightning, Yah of Allah, which is the word for the Lord, for God. You understand? So what was I going to say again? The point right here is to show you the role of certain characters, specifically when they're placed in front of a word. Like the which is I or I am. The ba, we're going to show you right here, which is in, right? They're supposed to have separate words, like in earth. In earth would be connected together. So in earth would be one word, formed of two words. So in would be ba, ra, taza, which means in earth. What do you have next? We have da, salakia. I'm gonna get back to y'all next class with an example for da. I forgot to have it written down in my notes. But let's go with ha. Ha, it could be anything. The dad, the dog, the wife, the kingdom. Let's go with the kingdom, right? Because that's what we strive for. Ha, the word for kingdom is just like one of the brothers in Texas, Officer 5000. Ha, ma, lak, wa, hamalakwa, which is the kingdom. Y'all take notes. I'm gonna write down the translation. This is I am fruitful. How could I put it? Yeah. I am fruitful. This is in. You know what? I know what to do. I am. Here's fruitful. This is in. Arathaza is earth. Here's the Malakwath kingdom. So y'all can take these down, take notes. We're gonna move to the next four. What time is it? Bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna move out the frame. I think we should have time to go over the suffix or possessive adjectives. So take notes, write these down. Next class, we're gonna give more examples. You know, in earth. We're gonna get some as well vocabulary. With the vocabulary we could use prefixes. How? I gave you the word bread earlier. How you said the is ha before a word. Therefore, what is the bread? Halakam. You see, simple things like these, that's what we tell you to take notes, because simple things like these would be able to have you practice Hebrew at home. That's it. Which we should do. We are to do. The same way you taught your kids English or whatever language you speak at home, teach them Hebrew, because that's their language, not their oppressor's language. You understand? I'll give you a few more seconds. Then we'll move on to the next four. Now I'll try to make sure to have an example for do as well. Y'all should be Tawab. Let's move on to the next 4. If y'all miss anything, you could always rewatch the class, but y'all should be here in the class. And if y'all want to be interacting actively in the class, right? You can show your practice writing your Hebrew and so on. Just message us. We'll just put the link in the chat. You understand? We'll just send you the link directly. So let's move on to the next 4. The next 4 we have Wa. So let me write the character first. Wa. Ya. Ka. And La. Now we don't necessarily need the Assyrian. We're going to practice with the Assyrian right as well, but yeah. Now keep in mind they go at the beginning of the word, meaning what? The ka would be written with the first character, not the other character, not the alternative character, right? Why? Because it's not at the end of the word. It's going to go at the beginning. So in the Assyrian, you would use this character when you have the ka, right? Ka and what I say, la. Wa, ya, ka, la. Wa, which means and. Ya is he or it. Ka is as or like. And la is to or for. Give you some examples. For instance, what example I gave you for wa? You see, in one of our prayers for structure, and we thank, commending John YAHANNA and the generals and the captains. What do we say? We say wa alawapiam. You understand? Wa soranium. Wa before wa alawapiam is and generals and captains. Wahaquatian and the sisters. You know what? I'm gonna get to that afterwards, because before we get into the adjectives, I'm gonna show you that you can actually have 2 prepositions. But let's keep it simple, right? So and yeah, let's go with a simple word, and bread, right? How do you say and bread? Walakam. So and let me give you an example. Walakam. Right. So wa, you just write these right here. Yeah. Ka. Yeah. Walakam. He or it. Do I have an example for he or it? I thought I did. I don't. Well, I'm going to get back to y'all for the da and the ya next week. The ka need to be like. Bear with me one moment. I'm going to have to get back to y'all for the ka as well. No sweat. And the la, which is 2 or 4. Let's go with la, ya, shar, la. Yasharala, which is the Hebrew word for Israel, not ISIS, Ra'el, whatever these, weed smokers be saying. Israel comes from Egypt, ISIS, Ra'el. It makes no sense because the Hebrew word for Israel is Yasharala. You understand? So this is and bread. Simple word. Bringing some wine, which is wine is yayan. Wine and bread, yayan, walakam. Wine and bread. This is 2 or 4. Israel. With the other ones, I'm gonna get back to y'all next week with the example for the other ones, right? So for time's sake, because we have 4 more, and I'm gonna show you something that we could have 2 prepositions or 2 prefixes, and then we're trying to move on to the adjectives if we have time. Lord Allah, we do, and if not, well, again, we do a review of the previous class on every class, so y'all should not worry about that. You're gonna see a lot of repetition. A lot of repetition. Why? Because practice makes perfect. It's like you had a lot of repetition in school when it comes to whatever subject y'all were studying, French, history, science, geography, whatever it is. To be good at something, you have to practice. Right? To be fluent in a language, you have to know how to write, know how to speak it, and practice. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to be corrected, and then you're going to do right. And that's in everything. In learning a language, you understand, and changing yourself, and coming back to the Lord. Right? Give you a few more seconds, and then we're going to go into the next 4. Again, there is no rush, so if we don't have time to go over the adjectives, because we don't want to rush it, right? So like this is not next 4, the next tree. My apologies. Salakia. So I think that should be Tawab. Tawab mean good, right? Let's go to the next few we have. There's only 3 of them. So for the next tree we have ma, sha, and tha. So ma, sha, tha. Again, the ma, why is it written like this in the Assyrian? Because it doesn't go at the end. Always remember that. Mashallah. What it means. So the ma is from. Sha, depending on the context, it could be whom, which, or pertaining to. So whom, which, or pertaining to. And the tha is the, thou, was just old English for you, right? Give you all the examples. So ma, sha, tha. Simple, right? Ma, ya, shar, la. Ma yasharala. Which means what? Ma is from, Yasharala is Israel. You understand? Shah, I'm going to give you this with Shah. This is a bit more complex, or complex, however you say it. English is a stupid language anyways. Shah, ma, young. And tha, I'm going to give you tahaya. So ma and the Shah, we're going to revisit them in a second, right? You're going to understand why. So take these notes. Keep in mind that the ma and the Shah, we're going to revisit them. Especially the ma. From Israel. That is thou, hayat shall be. So, future of to be. Now the Shah, I'm not going to write it. You're going to understand why in a second. So I'm going to let y'all write these down. Bear with me one moment. You should have had enough time. So move on to the next ones. So remember, these go in front of the word, right? So as a preposition. Now, sometimes, like I was mentioning earlier, sometimes you can have two prepositions in the word. You understand? And this, again, this is the basics, right? Sometimes you can have two prepositions in the word. For instance, we see the word earth earlier. Earth, which is Arataza, like the planet Earth. You see in, which is ba, when it's in the beginning of the word. Therefore, what did we have earlier? We had ba arataza, which means in the earth. So like in earth or on earth, right? Together. In earth would be ba ra. I'm gonna write it in Hebrew in a second. I'm just letting you know how to form the words first with the pronunciation. We also seen what? We seen the, which is in the beginning of the word would be ha. Now again, you can have two prepositions. You can say in earth or in the earth. In the earth would be what? Ba ha arataza. Well, you know when we say when we're gonna be in the kingdom, kingdom is what? Malakwat. Same principle. Ba ha ma lakwat. You understand? There you have two prepositions in the word, forming one word. You have the ba, which means in. Then you have the ha, which means the. So you get ba, ha, rataza, which means in the earth, or ba, ha, malakwat, which means in the kingdom. Write the translation, and I'm gonna write it in Hebrew for y'all. I don't write translation, that's the wild. But let me write the Hebrew for y'all. It should be enough space for me to write both in the Lashawan Qadash and the Assyrian. But so we have first Barataza, Ba, and the Ha. Well, Make a bit more space. I'll make more space for you. 1 second. Bear with me. Ba. Baha. Here. I know what I'm gonna do with the Assyrian. I don't want to make it confusing. So, ba, ra, taza, baha, ara, taza. And then we have baha, malakwas. Malakwas. Now with the Assyrian, Salaki, ra, taza. Now with the Assyrian, I'm gonna just write it in a different color. That's it. Which is the same thing. No matter which color you write it in, it's the same. Ba, It's always good to write both when you practice your writing. That's why, right? Otherwise, the Assyrian is just, not necessarily useful. Again, just to read the modern text. Pray it's not too confusing. Take your notes, right? Because then we're going to move into another example of multiple, how you call it? Two prepositions. You understand? See if we have time to get into the possessive adjectives. All right. Now we're gonna get into the other example, which y'all remember the reason why I did not bring down to you Shamayam yet, because Shamayam is the word for heavens, but is composed of two prepositions. You understand? Let me get the right so again, the word for heavens is Shamayam, but Shamayam is composed of two prepositions. We see in the Shah, which means whom or pertaining to, but there's also the Ma. You understand? This is why I had to wait to break it down to y'all. Shamayam is two prepositions. There's the Shah, which means which or pertaining to. Pertaining to, context. Pertaining to what? Pertaining to Mayam. What is Mayam? Mayam is water, waters, right? Pertaining to waters. This is how you form the word heaven. You understand? As the Bible says, I'm just slightly paraphrasing, the waters above and the waters below. There's a similar it's a similar habitat where what do you do when you need to dive in the water? You need a specific suit. You need a ship. In space, you need a spaceship. You need a suit as similar equipment to be able to breathe in space, just like you need to be able to breathe underwater. You know, and this have I don't want to say the same consistency. I forgot there's a specific word where the when it comes to gravity, it is similar to being underwater. Outside of the fact that you can't breathe. You understand? Listen, science is in the Bible. Yeah, y'all like to say the Bible is fake. It has nothing to do with science. Science is in the Bible. Just so y'all know. So space is space, I like it. Heavens is pertaining to waters. Shamayam. Now, Mayam itself, again, water or waters is Mayam, right? But Mayam itself is also formed with one preposition. If you remember, Ma is from. Ma is from. What is Yam? Yam is the sea. You understand? And this is how we form our this is how we form our words in the Hebrew. It could be multiple words, right? Because remember, each character is going to be the first character of a word already. And everything has a purpose. Everything. There is not one character that's there for no reason, you know. And as you can see, Mayam, which is waters, which literally is from the seas, the waters. Heavens, which is pertaining to the waters. You understand? So this is an example of another example of how you could have multiple prepositions in one word. As you can see, Baha Arataza in the earth, Baha Malakwa in the kingdom, Shamayam, even though it's one word, is still formed with two prepositions pertaining to waters, which is how you get heavens, and waters in itself, right? That's how you know it's formed with two prepositions. Why? Because waters is formed with one preposition, which is the ma, meaning from the seas, mayam. You understand? So I'm gonna let y'all write these down for a second. Let me see what time it is. Maybe running short on time. We'll see if we could get a few. You know what? We're running short on time. So what we'll do, I'm gonna let y'all write these down and we'll get into some vocabulary. I'm gonna give you some words. Some everyday words you could use on a daily basis. With the let me write just what do you call it? You write the Lashawan Qadash for you, and then I'm gonna let you write these down. Sha ma yam shamayam here ma. I'm gonna write these down, then we'll get into some vocabulary. We're gonna end the class and we'll be back next Friday. Remember, I'm gonna do 2 Fridays in English, 2 Fridays in French. You understand? Shamayam. What do I do? Sha ma mayam. Take a few seconds, write these down. Right, let's get into some vocabulary. Let's give you some everyday words. You know, if you have taken notes, I don't need to write mayam again. I don't need to write shamayam. I do not need to write rataza. I don't need to write lakam. I don't even need to explain you the words. I just pronounce because you've been taking notes and not have been asking questions. I guess y'all got it. Maybe y'all should start teaching Hebrew. How about that? So let me give y'all a few words. Peace. Yes. No. Everyday words that you're going to hear on a daily basis in the school, at home. You understand? Peace is shalom. Yes is kan. No is la'a. Good is tawab. And we're going to write these. Shalom. Kan La Ta Wab. Right here, Syrian in green. SHALAM Kan La and Ta Wab. Yep. Take these down for the rest 5 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes or so. We're gonna go into some, just everyday words. I'm gonna put the sign out link in the chat. Want to be part of the school? Click on the sign in, sign out links. Do your 90 days. You understand? Make sure you check in with the brothers in your zone, with the men over your zone. Pay your tithes. It's 10%. Meaning what? You get $10, you pay $1. You get 100, you pay 10. You have no issue spending weed on money. Might as well do it the right way, the righteous way. So we could feed the people, so we could feed the flock and protect the flock. You understand? Let's go into the next words. Let me just put real quick the sign out link in the chat. Give me 1 second. Put the sign out link in the chat. A few more words before we end the class. If there's any words you would like to know, of course, just listen, put it in the chat, ask questions, send us a message, right? Let's see. Name is Sham. Holy is, like we said at the beginning of the class, if you pay attention, Qadash, the holy tongue, the Lashawan Qadash. Son is Ban, daughter is Bat. You understand? Sham, Qadash, Ban, Bat. Qadash, Ban, and Bat. We're gonna do that almost every class. Around the end of the class, we're gonna just go into some, vocabulary, give you some words. Unless the whole class is about it, like let's say we go over colors. We're not gonna just give you colors at the end of the class. The class is about colors. We go over the name of animals, stuff like that, right? When we go over the basics, what we do is that at the end of the class, we're gonna give you some vocabulary. Matter of fact, I forgot. You know what? We're gonna do the salute the next class, because we need to start and end the class. Every time we start a class, we end the class, we give a salute, which is really a prayer, which is why we brothers salute with their heads uncovered and sisters salute with their head covered, right? We're going to go over that next class, at the beginning of every class and the end of every class. Matter of fact, every time you see a brother, every time you salute a sister, you're going to say the proper salute to the proper person, whether it's their when it comes to their gender and their numbers. That's important, because you don't say Shalom Yabasha Barakatah to a sister. You say that to a brother, singular. Barakatham to multiple brothers, plural. Sisters, again, when we tell them, when we get the salute, Shalom Yahweh Shemala Thaba Hashem Yahweh Shai, to one sister. You understand? Shalom Yahweh Shemala Than, to multiple sisters. We're gonna go over that next class. Don't worry about it. Give you a few more words. Yeah, these are just everyday words, something simple you might hear on a daily basis, right? For the Sabbath service, the Passover. You know what? Matter of fact, Passover. There you go. Passover, wine. We already see bread. You're gonna see brothers and sisters over here. So brother, sister. Passover is Pasak. Wine is Yayan. Brother, as you should know, is Ak. Sister, Akwat. Remember I told you earlier, right? Some words, no, Salaki, I was saying at the end of, usually our culture is to link the last two characters. So why is Akwat? Is it not Akawat? Because sister has a root word, which is already the two characters linked together. The root word for sister is brother. That's why this doesn't change. This is just the root word. You understand? Then we'll go with, in details in the next couple classes. Don't worry about it. So Pasak, Pasak, Yayan, Ak, and Aquat. Pasak, Yayan, Ak and Aqua. Give you probably 4 more, and then we're Tawab. Give you 4 more, and then we're going to end the class right here. All right. If you didn't have time, we will be back next Friday. Do a quick review, and then we're going to go into the possessive adjectives. You didn't have time today. So the last 4, let me see, which one should I give you? I'm going to give you, which one should I give you? Slovakia. Let me give you some verbs, yeah? Give you some verbs. Count. To hear or to listen. To walk. And to be. And we've seen that earlier for those who don't remember. To count is sapar. To listen, shamai. To walk is halak. And to be is haya'ah. So like a haya'ha. After these 4, we're going to end the class. Ready in the Hebrew for y'all. So sapar. Sapar. What is it? Shamai. Sapar. Shamai. Halak. And ha. Ya. Ha. Right in the Syrian. So R. So like the board is bent right here. I have to be careful. I don't want to mess up the writing. Shamai. Halakha. And hot. Yeah. Take these down. Then we're gonna end the class. Like, share, subscribe. Click the sign in and the sign out link. Do your 90 days. Pay your tithes. You understand? Give you a few seconds. Okay. So we'll end the class right here. You understand? We'll get a security announcements, right? The water mean thank you to everybody who was in the class. You understand? Make sure you tune in every Friday. We're gonna make 2 Fridays in English, 2 Fridays in French. The Lashawan Qadash. Click on the sign in, the sign out links in the chat. We'll end the class right here and get the security announcements. The water Israel, SHALAM, Yabashim Shabrakatam to all the brothers, and Yahweh Shemar Latam Bashim Yoshai to all the sisters. Also in Christ. This is the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, non-mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming Holy Convocation, we have Purim, which is coming up on the 14th and the 15th day of the 12th month, which falls on Monday, March 2nd and Tuesday, the 3rd of March, 2026. You can read more about it in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20 to 31. Reminder to all Akim and Akwatian to check the bulletin board in the hallway of their school. And if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. But that's never give a courtesy salute to the brothers and a courtesy salute to the sisters. Mina visual Imajim, which means to stand. Mina visual Imajim Shabbat. Imajim Barak. Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Brakatham, meaning Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Bless y'all. Yajamata, which means hands down. Sar, which means to turn. Turn and face the sisters. If you have any in your presence, we'll give them a courtesy salute as well. Mina visual Imajim Shabbat. Imajim Barak. Yahweh Shamar Alatan Bahasham Yahweh Shai, meaning Yahweh watch over y'all in the name of Yahweh Shai. Yat Yamata, class dismissed. To water Israel.
We have a gift that nobody can see, that was handed over to us to do something amazing. Take the gift, man. Take the gift. Take the gift, man. And let the Most High work in you to do something you have never believed.
I ain't even impressed what you expect. You see this shit? Hold on. There's 1 West on my chest.
1 West world. That's it. Oh.
Fucking street code, let a priest law. No stain, great Dane with the leash off. I ain't nothing of this world, I need a respawn. I just know they wish that I would stop, but I keep going. These fringes on my calf like a tube sock. I used to stuff the loose ones in my shoebox. And we came a long way from the curbside. Now we looking from the top from a bird eye. And I can't leave my brother on the battlefield. Lord, let the hell rain, we gon' see who real. And you know they gon' hate when they see a plate. So imagine what they doing for $250,000. And we really the only ones going to war. You niggas just be talking like y'all won the war. I made love to this truth and there's no divorce. I Spanish mommy call me Poppy like a corner store. Let me show you how to do it. Said he living by the word, I think it's time he proved it. I think you better use your head before you fucking lose it. And say the acting for the camera, this is not a movie. I pray to God I don't fall off. I ain't nothing like y'all. Niggas think they slime, cut their head off a python. Blame me for my outlook, never counted the lookouts. The world said I wasn't shit, but look how I turned out. Not so bad, huh? Why you mad, huh? We go hard, but go harder for the have-not. Listen, when that oil hit your leg, then you can't stop. Your feet better hit the ground running, this shit bedrock. Man, we tried to put him on, but he sleep. Waking up the people, that's the job for a priest. Hopped out the wheel, fringes swinging like a pendulum. You heard of the tribes, where the fuck you think they get it from? Look, I'm a soldier, get the order, then I get it done. Got some big shit to split the water, make these niggas run. Why you hurt? If I told the truth, then I showed you love. Let me prove it, wanna move right, let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how to do it. Said he living by the word, I think it's time he proved it. I think you better use your head before you fucking lose it. And say the acting for the camera, this is not a movie.
Don't step over the line though. Everybody, anybody, it's up for everybody. And that's not even, I got bigger fish to fry. I got people to say. I ain't even on a rap, so I already beat the rap shit.
The I.S.U.P.K. presents the Lord's 57th Annual Passover, April 4th, 2026 in Houston, Texas. You do not want to miss this one, Israel. Shalom.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to isupk.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.